All right, first of all, let me thank you all for coming out on this tepid August day. I want to start by saying that everyone here in the Ysleta Independent School District is extremely humbled by the outpouring of support, not only for our students, but for our entire El Paso community. We have received overwhelming offers of help and support. It is heartwarming to see the true human spirit alive and well throughout the great state of Texas. In times of tragedy, it is important to unite, to let peace guide our decisions, and not let fear overwhelm them. It is important to set an example for all of our children that we will persevere in the face of tragedy and not cower because of a senseless act carried out by one individual. As educators, parents, citizens, and Texans, we will always be stronger together. I want to thank the dozens of elected officials, Mayor Dee Margo, City Manager Tommy Gonzalez, Councilman who's with us today, Enrique Rivera, for having rallied around the district, and our school board. With me is President Trustee Mike Rosales from the Eastwood High School Learning Community, as well as Catherine Lucero from the Del Valle Learning Community, to ultimately make this happen. I also want to thank the Plano Independent School District for working with us to support our respective student athletes and our communities. Something as fundamental as a high school football game has the opportunity to both unite and heal our communities. Our communities are separated by nearly 700 miles, but the spirit to heal and do what is best for kids binds us together and keeps us close. I want to thank the Frisco Independent School District for their role in facilitating this new arrangement. And I especially want to thank the Jones family and the Dallas Cowboys for their generosity in allowing our two teams to play at Ford Center at the Star on Thursday, September 5th, 2019. This will allow people from many different communities to come together to support our student athletes. Thank you again to everyone who reached out with offers of support and help. I'm pleased beyond words that peace and unity will guide this event and that fear will be left behind. This is our district. We are ElPaSOstrong, and we are Texas strong. Thank you. Any of these individuals will be available for comment if you wish, but we're delighted, excited, and look forward to watching the Troopers play on Thursday, September 5th, 2019 at the Star. Thank you.
When they initially reached out to you as wanting to cancel the game, what were some of the, I guess, safety issues that they presented to you when they brought that forward to you?
I was first contacted on Monday of this week, and on Monday of this week, the theme seemed to center around the safety and security of student athletes and fans. Specifically, whether or not they had the law enforcement numbers to guarantee that safety and mitigate any threat. That was the extent of the rationale.
Superintendent, how did Frisco come up, and who reached out to Jones family?
I believe that folks in this community, our elected officials, Tommy Gonzalez, Dee, Enrique, and others, began to make contact with officials in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area. That communication expanded to include the Commissioner's Office and the UIL. And I believe that the superintendent from the Frisco Independent School District may have been the first person to suggest it as an alternative. And from there, the conversation really was held primarily between the superintendent in the Plano Independent School District, the UIL, and the Dallas Cowboys.
Was there ever a point where you thought you had another game lined up, or was the idea to always try to maybe get this one rescheduled for a different place and time?
We tried to suspend making a final decision for as long as we could. However, we concurrently, Coach Lopez, the Principal Boatwright, and others began to immediately consider other teams. Other teams actually reached out to us and indicated that they had an open date and a desire to play Eastwood High School. And so at one time we had as many as 4 different high schools from across the country. We had a high school from California that was willing to travel to El Paso to play Eastwood High School here on their home field. We had a team from Chandler, Arizona, who invited the troopers to consider coming up and playing them, and these are powerhouse teams. And we also had what I thought was a great narrative, and that is a former associate superintendent in this school district, Rick Lopez, who recently hired Coach Jesse Perales from Del Valle High School, was trying to rearrange his schedule so that he could host Eastwood High School and play them on September 6th of 2019. It goes to show that even when they relocate and they assume different roles and responsibilities in other parts of Texas, when you're part of the El Paso family, you remain part of the El Paso family.
Is there any talks about making maybe this game televised for the community of El Paso?
You know, I've not been included, but there have been people have implied that the Jones family and the folks down in Plano want to make it a special event. So I anticipate that in the coming week or weeks, we're going to have a lot of conversations about how we can make this a memorable experience for all student athletes, both from Eastwood as well as Plano, in that both of them will be intricately linked forever as a result of the August 3rd tragedy.
Obviously, the Star and Frisco are going to be quite the celebration, and what a venue for you guys. But was there any ever consideration of reaffirming the game in Plano, or was a neutral site game the only option for Plano?
It was pretty clear to me that the leadership in Plano ISD had made a hard decision that the game would not be played at Plano High School. We discussed playing at a neutral site, Midland, Odessa. We offered, obviously, to play the game here in El Paso. Neither of those two ideas gained any momentum. I think that the deciding factor was the fact that the Star is an arena. It's a covered stadium, and they're accustomed to being able to provide that level of security at that facility that you don't typically find at a high school stadium.
Will there be more security brought in for this game than maybe there otherwise would be at the Star?
Not that I'm aware of. I believe that they think that the way that the arena is set up, that by de facto it provides far more security than what you would typically find at a high school football field.
And then I know Julio said the school is supposed to get half of the money from the gate when the game's going to be at Plano High School. Is there going to be some sort of monetary, I guess, compensation?
You know, we haven't had that conversation. At some point, the money became the least important element to me. Whether we receive zero or half the gate, to me, is less important than what the event means to El Paso and what the event means to our student athletes at Eastwood High School and in general.
But students at Plano High School have been starting to GoFundMe's, and they've been very vocal in wanting to help this community heal and wanting to get this game played. What's your guys' response to the students of Plano High School?
That's true. It's humbling. I think it demonstrates that sometimes our students may be a little bit more connected and sensitive to what's going on around them than sometimes the adults. I think sometimes we as adults can create complexities out of very simple, straightforward gestures that adhere to the human condition.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much for coming out. I appreciate it. If you all have any additional questions for the councilman or for trustees or any of these young men, they may be able to tell you more about how they feel and what it means to have been re-invited to come down and play football. Thank you very much.
Coach, how do you feel? How do you think?
Yeah, I mean we're ecstatic. You know, the minute that this happened, I think the most disappointing thing in it all is we felt as a community, as a district, as a proud community that we felt football could be the catalyst for the next step in healing as a city. And we felt like the unique situation of these two communities being linked with the tragedy here, a couple weeks ago, we felt that it was going to be a great night not only for football, but a great night to unite two communities, to celebrate the families of the victims and celebrate El Paso and our proud heritage, and and really make it a great event. And so when, as soon as they told me that it was back on and that we were going, I mean, I just can't tell you how excited I am. All other things aside, obviously we're excited to play at the Star and all of that, but just to really bring the El Paso love to Plano, or to Frisco, and the El Paso passion for our community and our kids, and hopefully to honor them the correct way up there when we go up there is just very exciting for us.
Is there any, I know you had mentioned it, are you still going to continue wanting to play Plano in the future? At this point?
Right now we're just focused and happy about the results. That'll be a decision ultimately. I'll sit down with our leadership, obviously, at the campus level, at the district level, and we'll ultimately decide what we do from here on in. Our goal is to always play the best, so I would imagine we're still going to go up there in some capacity to play a Metroplex team. I don't know if it'll be Plano or not, but at this point we're just happy to be playing September 5th at the Star.
Coach, have you had any conversations with Jerry Jones, Jason Garrett, anybody within the Cowboys organization?
No, nobody's reached out to us on their behalf. As a matter of fact, I haven't even talked or spoken to anybody at Plano football-wise, really since probably yesterday morning. So I'm sure we'll be reaching out in the next couple of days. I have a really close friend of mine who's a quarterback coach in Carson Meager, and he's a coach on staff, and I know he's going to be excited. He was a UTEP quarterback here with me when I played, and I think the one thing everybody needs to understand is that this decision was made, but like you mentioned, the Plano students, the Plano community really wanted a lot of them wanted the game. A lot of them were hurt, and especially people that I had talked to and known. And look, at the end of the day, the football players wanted to play. This didn't come down to the programs. This decision was made by people outside of the program. So we're just excited to get the game back on and see what ideas we have moving forward to really make it a special event for both cities and both communities.
With people outside of the program that you brought up, are there any lessons that maybe you hope they've learned from this situation?
I think from every situation in our lives, we should learn something from it, good or bad, right? So I would hope, how they handle situations after this. I just think it's unfortunate, but the reality is we hear about mass shootings and tragedies like this far too often. But I think that things like football, like high school athletics, like our normal day-to-day activities that we all do, I think are an important step in the healing process. And I think hopefully if they learn anything from it, it's just that, it was never just a football game. We were going up there with the intent to honor the families of those victims and honor our community and unite two communities that are very different, and show how diversity should be celebrated. And hopefully something's learned out of it for future situations that might be similar.
What would you say just to it seems like there's obviously a lot of people that have come together in the last few days to kind of make this a possibility. What would you say to those people that help this game kind of become a possibility?
Well, a lot of them are standing right here. I'm just very, and I know I speak for our kids and our program and our school and our community, but we are just so very blessed and grateful for the great people of El Paso that care about us so deeply and care about the city so deeply, and understood that this was more than a football game that we were losing, and understood that they needed to fight on our behalf, and they did, and they made it happen. To the people across the state, gosh, I can't name all of them, but there are some key ones like Matt Sept and people who stepped up on our behalf to really voice their opinions and let it be known that we all felt this was the wrong decision. If they're listening, I can never thank them enough, because they are 600, 700, some as far as Tyler, Texas, that were calling us, trying to do everything they could to rectify the situation. So I just want to thank everybody on behalf of our whole community, not only with the people standing here that made it happen, but with obviously all the support we received from the Texas high school football community, understanding this was way more than just a football game that we were losing.
Do you have a kickoff time?
I don't.
I think somewhere 60 in Mountain Lion.
I get to pick it?
You get to pick it after
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Not
7
600.
o'clock.
That could be negotiable.
So it'd be 6 Mountain Time. Yes.
Coach, just with all the attention that this game has gotten, it's going to be a big time atmosphere when you guys head over there. How do you approach that game, from a coach's standpoint, and getting these kids ready to play on that way?
Well, I think there's two angles, right? It's number one, you know, we fought to get this back on, and now it's time as a district and as our community to unite with Plano's district and make sure that we honor the victims the right way. That's the first thing. Second thing, we're going up there to win. I'm not going up there to you know, at the end of the day, it's a football game as well. So, you know, the way you honor a situation like this, and no pressure on these guys, right? But the way you honor a situation like this is you go up there and you play well, and you represent our community the right way. And you go up there and represent our city the right way, and our proud district the right way. And so I think between those two layers, we feel very confident that we'll go up there and not only honor the families the right way and honor our city, who is such a proud and great city, the right way, but we feel we'll represent our district and our school the right way on the field as well.
Yeah, let me just say 2 words. I want to thank everyone that gave us the support, and I want to thank Catherine Lucero, that is representative of the Valle community. Together we do things, and we step forward, and it's a real pleasure and a humbling way to be able to work with Henry and the variety of different people from throughout the state. I represent strictly, of course, Eastwood and the feeder community at Eastwood, and I'm proud to represent it. But I do it in a humble, sincere manner, and what made sense was to keep this game on. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer. Catherine, would you like to say anything?
I want to thank the students for your perseverance, coach, of course our district, our superintendent. But this man right here, Representative Rivera, reached out to him and he got the ball rolling. And I want to say that as our elected officials, of course, Mr. Rosales, we all really work together to as a community and really show El Paso strong. And I think that's important, and that's what needs to continue. We are El Paso strong. We're a welcoming, loving community, and we won't let fear guide us. We will not let terrorists win, and we're going to be El Paso strong always.
Right. Thank you.
One last thing I'll say is that, yes sir, is that you all know I was very passionate about this, especially for our kids being, as I saw it, punished for an act they were not involved in, nor for the fact, am I saying, also that the Plano kids were being punished just as much as they were, because they had nothing to do with it. They had nothing to do with the Census Act. I immediately, as soon as Catherine called me, I talked to the mayor, because we had just had the governor say all of Texas was behind us. So this was the time to show it. This was the time to show how much Texas will back up El Paso. What true sympathetic words that they were sending our way would come through, because I know these young men will represent it. Okay, the fact is that when I pitched this wild idea to City Manager Tommy Gonzalez, I knew he had connections there, and I told him, I asked him, I begged him, help me please. This has got to happen. This cannot be left alone. This cannot be set aside. This, because, you know, our kids work just as hard as any other kid throughout the state. So when he made that call, we were just on pins and needles, and we were going like, please say yes, please. And at that point, I congratulate the Jones family for stepping up to the plate, true Texas style, and holding up Texas football as we all know it. And I know these kids are going to represent El Paso well. And not only that, El Paso is sending the message, hey, listen, we don't hold grudges. We don't condemn anybody. We love people. We are a loving community, and we are El Paso strong. And these guys are going to go out there and win. You watch.